loves, welcome to my channel, and today we are going to see how my first ever geode looked like. We are also going to go through the backstory of how it started and how it ended. We'll also see what you should and what you should not do while creating your first ever geode. So let's get started. I'm super excited to tell you all that I was really scared of geodes. Geodes always fascinated me a lot. Like, I started my resin journey approximate 3 months back from today, and geodes were everywhere. Like, everything I loved was mostly geodes because they were so attractive, and if you look at those big wall pieces, oh my god, they're so fascinating, right? So I wanted to try off geodes, but I was really nervous, and this is how it went. I started with priming my base using gesso, and then I mix off my resin, and here is me deciding the pattern. See, geodes are always better when not defined, but this was my first ever geode and I didn't want anything to be very risky for me, so I decided to be on a safer side. I planned where I wanted my colors to be. I had 7 to 8 shades to work with. I first wrote down where I wanted my stones to be, and here is me arranging all the stones. I wanted stones to be on 3 sides of the frame, which is 2 corners, and also in the center of the frame. I wanted like a thick line of stones for symmetry reasons, but since this was my first geode and I was not really sure how many crystals to pick, I got really less crystals, and because of that I could not really cover up the middle of the frame. Let's see how we fixed that. Here is me planning all the colors. I had 6 to 7 shades, as I said, to work with. I chose the family of greens. Greens really attracted me back then. So all I did was planning, and I used all my brain to do this, honestly, because I was so nervous, guys, so nervous, and I didn't want to ruin it, and I wanted my shape to be very exact and precise. That's why I took a long time planning. As you can see, I had some leftover resin after we did the stones, so we decided to go with some colors with the same resin. I used white and gold for that reason, and it was really thick and so very manageable to arrange in the areas I wanted to. It was not flowing and it was looking good. So this is how it starts. I love gold around the stones for some reason. I actually love gold and silvers to be around the stones, and no points for guessing. I did that in my frame. So here I poured gold really close to white, but if my resin would have been a little thin, colors would have flowed all over, okay? So make sure your resin is thicker when you do this step, because it's very important to maintain your design. I personally like defined geodes. I have not tried undefined ones yet, but still, the ones that fascinate me the most are the ones that are, very much defined. Here's me mixing resin for the rest of the colors, and finally pouring. You can see the number of shades I took. I also took some shades of white, which is white and metallic white, and alongside I had so many shades of green. Like, I had dark green, I had sap green, I had leaf green, I had metallic green. Oh my god, I also have olive shade of green. So I went crazy pouring my greens, but I think you can see how vibrant it looks, okay? Did I tell you, all the time I was pouring, I was just fascinated by this. I was loving how it was slowly turning out to be, and I was also using all my brain to think what color to pour and when. Yes, I did write all the names down, but if you go ahead with colors that are, together, they'll start flowing down with each other. And that is, of course, one thing that I didn't want. If you want it, that's ultimately up to you. But I did not want that at all. So somewhere it did happen a little bit. But geodes give you the freedom that, you can change anything, anytime you want to. So I decided to fix those with the lining part, which I had in my mind, and it really worked out. But not going to lie, I loved it. This is the day 2 wherein we are going to do the line work. I mixed my glitter, and let me tell you, I was really scared of glitters flowing down, and that's why I was not sure about the quantity of glitter to be used with resin. So I mixed glitters again. I almost used half the box of glitter that I had. I also decided to add some combi glitz because I have seen it everywhere. I love combi glitz when mixed with glitters in geode. I didn't have a lot of it. I just had this tiny little bottle, but I decided to pour it because why not? And ultimately that's my geode. So I did whatever I wanted to. Pouring that into a piping bag, and then we are all set to do the line work. Geodes are time consuming. They take a lot of the time, but they're all worth it in the end. It was 3 days of work, but it was beautiful. Line work, what I did was, where I wanted my stones to be, I decided to do a thick line of glitters over there because I really wanted something in the center to grab that attention but not be over as well, right? So I decided to do that, and somehow I'm really obsessed with glitters with gold. You can see how it clearly looks so much better, and I can't hold myself doing it. I was trying hard to put on as many lines and as undefined lines as I could possibly do. It's better when you go with lines that are not very symmetric and that are not very planned. Okay, so allow yourself to be creative there. And then once these were a little dry, I decided to go off with my markers and deco markers to do the remaining line work. I decided to go with white and gold. Acrylic gold that I had was more of going to the copper shade, so we decided to eliminate that. All in all, I use it here. I didn't like it at all, so I went off with my deco marker and I covered it off as much as I possibly could. Now let me tell you one mistake that I did with my geodes. You should not do the line work that's not definite. I mean, you should have a definite end to your lines, and that's what I missed somewhere around the frame. Most of it looks amazing the way it is, and overall this piece is really good to be my first ever geode piece. But my lines could have been a little more better, and that would have uplifted my piece a little more. But mistakes are always welcomed, and I'll make sure to not do it the next time I create a geode. I typically love the process so much. It's so interesting. The glitter lines are all 3D. Our marker lines are all on the bottom, and alongside it just highlights your frame so much. All together it comes off beautifully. I took all my time. I didn't rush up the process. So we are done, and that's the day 3 where we pour the top coat. I'll tell you one more mistake that I did. You should never use acrylic markers inside of your geode pieces. If you want to use them, make sure you varnish your entire piece, because it flows out when you do the top coat. So my white did flow out a little bit, but it was all manageable. But if I make my second geode, I'll always make sure that I do not repeat the same mistake. Either do not use acrylic markers or varnish them well before you do the top coat, so that it doesn't flow out, because you don't want your piece to be at risk, right? Like anywhere in the process, I would not want my geode to end up being something I didn't want. Flowing it out a little bit did stress me out initially, but then I was all cool with it. I made sure to embrace my mistakes, because who doesn't do these mistakes? And this is a pure masterpiece, especially considering that I was doing it for the very first time. Being an artist, I failed several times creating pieces that I had in my mind, bringing my creativity to life. But one thing that you should always make sure is embrace those mistakes, accept them and improve them. You're not going to make a masterpiece in the very first try, but when you keep on trying, you keep on failing. When you keep on failing, you keep on learning, and that's ultimately how you create beauties. Excluding everything, this still looks so pretty. This is the final results. Tell me how you like it.